Welcome to Mental as Anyone.
I didn't know I'd be sitting here in a wig talking about mental health. Because anybody who's tuning in is going, yeah, this bitch got the answer.
I'm your host, JMO, and in this series we explore mental health.
If this is what life's going to be, I don't want to be here.
The battles, the triumphs, and the strategies to deal with mental health in a healthy way.
We are born and we are just told stories upon stories upon stories about how to live our life, and no one knows.
I'm the first to know that's not easy, having battled on my own journey. Now, I'll be speaking with others who are ready to share their own insights and lessons.
You know, you try to bury it, keep busy, and then all of a sudden it just swallows you whole.
This podcast is specifically designed to support you on your own journey. So join me as we learn together that we are mental as anyone.
You're out there, and every night you have to prove that you deserve to be there.
BYD isn't just powering this podcast. For nearly 3 years, it's been redefining the way I drive. It brings me peace of mind. I just charge it at home, no more detours to the petrol station. And the way it drives, so smooth and has instant power when you need it. It's got all the space, all the tech, and I feel good knowing it's better for the environment too. If you're even a little bit curious, check out the links in the show notes, and thanks BYD for helping bring Mental as Anyone to life. This episode is proudly brought to you by Chemist Warehouse, your go-to destination for all things health and well-being. From essential vitamins and supplements to skincare and fitness products, Chemist Warehouse offers everything you need to stay balanced and healthy. Plus, they're committed to supporting your health journey with affordable, high-quality products. Visit chemistwarehouse.com.au to explore their extensive range and take your next step in your well-being. This woman is an absolute legend. She's a champion of all sorts of things. Mostly, she's known as an Olympic champion, but I think you're just a champion at life. This is Bronte Campbell on the podcast Mental as Anyone today. Bronte.
Hello. Thank you for having me. What a lovely introduction.
You got quite the husky voice.
I do, yeah. I don't know why. Maybe I should clear my throat.
I'm assuming you don't smoke durries out the back, so...
Yeah, it's all that like chain smoking I've done for my entire life.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, good. Today was a good day. I started today with trying to learn a new skill. I'm trying to learn how to do ocean ski paddling, which is like those really long skinny boats. So I started the day at sunrise on the water, falling in and not being very good at something, but feeling brilliant while doing it. So that's a pretty good start to my day, and it's sort of rolled on from there.
Cool.
How are you?
I'm good too. I'm good. I've just had 2 weeks break and I'm feeling good, and I'm quite volatile with my emotions, so I can be really high 1 second and then a minute later be really low, and it's something I have to work on. So today, right now, I'm in a good headspace.
Great. Let's hope we don't swing down for the worst like halfway through our conversation.
No, I just love having these conversations because the whole point of Mental as Anyone is that we're just having a convo, having a chat and sharing our stories and talking about mental health. How do you feel talking about mental health?
I feel very open, like an open book about my own personal struggles with any times of low mental health, but I also feel this like apprehension of like, oh, I don't really love the idea of giving anyone advice. I have no problem saying like, this is how I felt at this point and this is what worked for me to get better from that, but I do really struggle with, I never want to feel like I'm giving people advice because I'm so aware that I'm not an expert. I am obsessed with this area though. Like, I love listening to really interesting psychologists talk. I've obviously done some work in sports psychology and performance psychology through being in sport, and it's always been such a fascinating part of sport for me, is how do you get that mental unlock. And this is a really long answer to such a little question that you asked, but
it's not.
Probably my favorite thing that I sort of uncover is that, like, we always think of the mind and the body as very separate things. It's like, oh, mind over matter, or like you just got to push through and your body's got to push through, but they're so intertwined. Like, your mind is part of your body, and there's things you can do in your body that impact your mind, and the other way around. Your thoughts impact your body and what hormones are released in it and how your body feels. And that probably was the biggest aha moment along my career in sport, was really understanding that they're not separate beings, and stop treating them as separate beings. If you are in a negative headspace and you just keep trying to push through physically, you're kind of pushing through on an empty well. It's better to like stop and learn how to refresh yourself and know that you're pulling, all your energy comes from the same place. It doesn't matter whether it's going to your mind or your body. So that's really my biggest unlock in that area. But I also know, having spoken to many athletes, it's like everyone's got a different unlock, don't they? Everyone's got that one little thing that speaks to them. But for me, that was probably the biggest one.
It's really important to me that for this podcast specifically, but for everything around the mental health conversation, is that I'm just a person living my life.
Yeah.
And all the guests on the show or the podcast are all just people living their lives. Some of them have high profiles, some of them have lower profiles, just depends, whatever. But the fact that you're an Olympic grade doesn't mean that you're a doctor. It doesn't mean that you're a psychiatrist. It doesn't mean, so we're not here to hand out scripts or talk about that. This is literally just talking about your experience with mental health and the things. So unlocking that was a really interesting point. I want to talk about other tips that you might have in a second. But I want to start with a quote when I was reading up on you and just doing a little bit of research. And I'm not a very good researcher because I just like to have conversations, so I don't like my mind to be full with stuff. So, obviously I know that you've won all these Olympic medals and it's 3 gold and a bronze, just to be clear. And you've been to Tokyo, Rio and Paris.
And London.
But that's all I need to know. Other than that, I just want to chat.
Oh, that's so much more interesting because then you don't have a preconceived notion and we can just talk and discover things. Yeah.
I know your name. I know who you are. I know what you look like. I've seen you in the pool. I've seen you in the newspapers and online and in photos and stuff, but I don't want to read your Wikipedia and know everything about it.
Definitely don't read my Wikipedia. God knows what's on there.
Really?
I don't know what's on there, but I can't imagine that it's brilliant. I've never had a look at it.
This quote, it's from a story that you did, I think in 23. I did not feel like my body was mine. Do you remember that quote?
I don't remember specifically saying it, but I can imagine what it was in relation to, and I was probably talking about injury, which has been probably the biggest struggle in my sporting career, has been learning to deal with injury and pain and chronic pain. And there really was that disconnect for me between my mind and my body at that point, because my mind was so adamant about pushing forward and continuing on and keep doing the things that work. So in 2015 I was world champion in the 50 and the 100 freestyle, and then going into the 2016 Olympics I would have been then like the world defending champion. And early on in 2016, probably about February of that year, within one lap I got this like sort of tingling in my arm, and then it went from a little bit of a tingling pain to like a very damaging sort of pain and numbness down my left arm. And I was leading into an Olympic Games, and in 2015 I knew exactly what success looked like. I knew all the boxes that I had to tick to be successful. I had to be doing chin-ups in the gym with 45 kilos around my waist. I had to be doing 10 swim sessions a week and specific sets that I really wanted to do, and I had to be doing 3 gym sessions, and I had to be doing these 2 Pilates sessions, and I had to be doing my 3 spin sessions, and I had this like tick box list. But that's just it. That's just training. That's fine. But in the face of injury, and now I couldn't do those things, I found it very, very difficult to accept the new level that my body was at and the new things that my body was able to do. And so I just completely ignored my body and just kept pushing through the pain, pushing through the bits where my body was like, oh, maybe we shouldn't be doing that. Some of my exercises that I was doing with physio weren't really working, but I was like, but the physio told me to do them. They're a plan. I must follow the plan. Really, really locked in a very closed mindset. And that did not lead to brilliant outcomes for me. That led to really having to reduce my training loads, because a lot of the injury was neurological. there's just not a lot that you can do if your nerves like literally aren't working properly in an area in your body. And I went to the 2016 Olympics. We won the relay and break a world record, which was brilliant. I came fourth in the 100 freestyle by 0.05 of a second, which is like very small amount of time. When you blink, it's about 0.1, so it's like half of a blink. And while my actual execution of that race I thought was really good considering my lead up and how disrupted it had been, I really had to take stock afterwards and just think like, what could I actually have done differently here? And that was where I would have really stopped and had a look around and been like, what was the thing that I personally could have had in my control? Because the injury and my body and everything felt really outside of my control. Like I had no control over this injury, that it was a separate thing to me that I was trying to manage. And it took me quite a long time to do the work that I need to do to bring everything sort of back together and feel like my body and my mind and me were all working together in one go, and to stop being either neglectful of my injury or angry at it, which are two emotions that you just don't want directed at your own body and specifically at an area of your body. I did some very interesting meditation. I did heaps of meditation and then did a very deep meditation exercise that went for about, I don't even know, like an hour and a half, 2 hours, stepping down and then exploring my body in a little car. It sounds insane. I know it sounds insane, but going around and exploring those areas. I had multiple injuries at that point. And being deep in meditation and not logically thinking through the answers to questions like, okay, shine a light around, like, say, my shoulder. Like, what does it look like in there? And if I was logically now asked that question, I'd be like, oh, it looks like red or inflamed or something like that because it's in pain, right? But the image that presented itself was that it looked like kind of like gray and like cobwebby and like sort of like an abandoned house, like completely like unloved like space in my body. And like with that image came this like overwhelming feeling of like helplessness. And it was just like unbelievable, like rising up, I was crying. And it honestly felt like that part of my body was like this neglected, unwanted child that like didn't want to be included. Oh. I'm also, this sounds like insane. And I mean, I went through a few other things after that with learning when did you first feel that feeling, going back, talking to that person, had a guide along with me in my head, but working through why I particularly felt that emotional feeling and how that was stored in the cells of my shoulder was really interesting to me. And it brought me out to another side of like, wow, I'm so grateful for everything that this shoulder has done for me. I mean, when I'm in full training, I do 19,000 swim strokes a week, and I've been doing that since I was about 12 years old. Like, it is incredible that either of my shoulders have held up under that load, and the fact that, I mean, I just first got injured in 2016, and we're now in 2025. It's like 9 years later, and I'm still able to use it, and I'm still able to get high performance out of that. Like, what a thing to like absolutely celebrate. And again, for me, it was a mindset shift of bringing something in and like loving even those really difficult parts of yourself rather than seeing that as like a failure that you have to kick out and like kind of condemn.
Did you ever hate your body?
I definitely hated my injuries, yes. And I would get so angry, like felt like it was failing me. Which when your body is your tool of your trade, the thing that you're relying on to get the job done, it really was a difficult thing to come to terms with, because I felt like I was getting let down by something that I didn't have any control over. But once again, bringing it in and bringing it together, that's what enables me to take control of it. You know what I mean? Like I had to bring it back in and all together to have control over it. Otherwise, it was something sitting outside of my control.
And yet you're a champion. Your body let you down, or you felt like your body let you down, but you won all these medals. You've reached the absolute pinnacle that some people could only ever dream of achieving. One win of their local swimming competition.
Well, I just think like the longer that I get in my career, and I've been doing it a long time now, the more I realize that success and failure are the same in that they're both fleeting. And you feel them quite intensely at the time, and then like success becomes kind of meaningless, like to me anyway. I'm very happy with the things I've achieved, and I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to do it, but it sort of passes away, and there's some like weird fire inside of me that's like, okay, but what about the next thing? And it's constant. And it's the same with failure. When you're in it, it feels absolute, like this is defining. And then the world keeps moving, and there's a way around it or through it, or you remake yourself on the other side of it. And so they both sort of pass away and become less impactful and less meaningful the further you get away from them. So it's lovely to hear like, oh, but you're an Olympic champion. It's like, yeah, but that success, it doesn't insulate you against the next failure, and it doesn't insulate you against all the little things that go wrong in your life. It doesn't stop you from feeling shitty on a day-to-day basis.
And it's the same premise that we all go to the toilet. We all feel sick. Like, just because you're Olympic great doesn't mean that you don't poo.
I don't poo. No, I'm kidding. Every
Girls
day.
don't poo for a start. Gays don't poo. They definitely don't fart.
No, only if it's rainbows and perfume, obviously.
Being angry with your body is a fascinating concept for me. Because my body, I guess, if I think about it that way, I've never really liked my body.
Yeah.
I don't like looking at it. I'm not a sporty person and what have you. So this isn't about dissecting me. But what does anger look like? Did you punish yourself? Or would your punishment be, or you treated yourself by going within and doing the meditation and moving forward? Because a lot of people wouldn't be able to move past the anger.
Yeah, it wasn't a very quick process. It was a very slow process. And it didn't start out with, I need to stop being angry with my body. That wasn't even the problem I was solving for. The problem I was trying to solve is, how do I keep swimming and reduce pain levels? And that's where the meditation started. It was like a way to re-regulate my nervous system and reduce my pain levels. So it was really focused on that. And then it sort of morphed into addressing a very different problem. And I didn't even really think about the fact that I was angry at my body as being something that was bad. I was like, that's the weird thing about anger. Anger is such a powerful emotion because it feels like it's being used for something. It's emotive. It's sort of like a very heightening emotion, as opposed to sadness, helplessness, shame, all of these emotions that they don't activate you to do anything. So for me, when I was swimming and my injury would be so bad that I couldn't keep going, feeling helpless was like such a low down emotion to be feeling, and wouldn't have got me anywhere while I was in training at the pool. So I would choose to ladder up out of that and choose to be angry instead. And if I could be angry, that had like a lot of emotion behind it and a lot of drive and power behind it. And I got stuck at anger for a long time. Even more of a driving and brilliant emotion to be feeling is like gratitude or joy or any of those higher emotions. Like we talk about like a emotional ladder of things you can be feeling, and each one takes a different amount of energy and has sort of different impacts. But it took me a long time to get from anger to gratitude and acceptance. And that's like kind of emotionally neutral. It's not taking a lot of energy. It's not giving you a heap of energy either, but it's now enabling you to put the energy somewhere else. So like when I was angry and using that anger to drive me, it felt like very useful in the moment. It felt better than helplessness. But it ended up with me just being completely drained, as well as, even if you think about like how stress and anger manifests in the body, like the fact that you can get stomach ulcers from stress, the fact that your hair can literally go gray from stress, like your body fall out, like the fact that people get like stress rashes, like when I get really stressed, I get like all these little red dots on my stomach. I have no idea why, but I do. People get pimples when they get really stressed. Like your body and your mind are not separate. They're like very, very intertwined. And being angry a lot and thinking really angry thoughts increases the inflammatory markers in your blood. You can measure that. You can get someone really angry and measure that the inflammatory markers in their blood go up. And my injury, a lot of it was caused by inflammation. And so there I'm like being angry at it, which is like exacerbating the actual problem. It took me like, honestly, probably 2 to 4 years to get to a really good place with it. So it took a long time. It wasn't a quick process.
Did it help having your sister there with you?
It's always helped having my sister with me. She's also faced a lot of injury, and it's helpful having someone that you really trust, that really cares about you, that can really understand what you're going through. For sure, that was very helpful. And then it's also incredibly unhelpful because I'm competing against her every day and seeing it's like a constant reminder of if I couldn't finish a session but my sister could. It's like literally a reminder that not only her but all my other competitors are all finishing their sessions. So having Kate with me throughout my whole career has definitely been net positive and contributed to my success, like I think as a magnifier, like more than anything else, but it's equally very difficult to manage.
Yeah, I mean, there's obvious comparisons, and there's this, that, and the other. Whether comparisons like aesthetically, hey, you look similar, and all of that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, comparisons being
physical,
aesthetic achievement. Like my sister qualified for her first Olympics when she was 15. And so by the time I'm 2 years younger than her, by the time I was 15 and I hadn't qualified for an Olympics, it's like, oh, well, like your sister did that. Like you haven't done it yet. Like imagine saying that to a 15-year-old, like you're not good enough because you haven't qualified for an Olympics yet. Like that's a crazy thing to say to someone. And there's some very insensitive people that would say things that were very much along those lines all throughout my career. But then there's also that like shitty internal voice that also says that stuff to you and like whispers it in your ear while you're sleeping, and that's a damaging voice as well. And that's not anyone else's fault. That's all on me.
So how did you get through that? I know this is probably boring for you, but it is an interesting point for a lot of people because they know you as the Campbell sisters.
I think a lot of people, like I talk about this quite a lot now, and I think everyone faces comparison at some point, whether they're in a family or a workplace. Like comparison can really be that joy thief that just takes away from all the things that you're doing. And I don't know, I think for Kate and me, I had to reframe it as competition is good for me. It's an amplifier. So the thing that I'm really good at is competing. Like when it gets down to the whistle goes, everything goes quiet, and I get on the blocks, like I'm very good at performing under those circumstances, and I'm very good at performing when there's people that are faster next to me. I'm good at performing despite what their race plan might be, and if I can see them, it doesn't bother me. Like, and all of this. I get a sore
neck from perving at hot guys that are swimming past me.
Okay, well, you're probably swimming at Boy Charlton Pool.
Wherever. I mean, yeah.
That's that's not advised swimming technique, but we can work on that later. If you do breaststroke, then you can look all the time, then you're totally fine. But the only reason I'm good at competing is because from the time I was 13 years old, I was training next to someone who was an Olympic bronze medalist. And like I learned to race and compete every single day, like more than anyone else would. So I sort of chose to see it as a positive thing, as well as like all the actual good things that come with it, and like doing cool shit with your sister, right? Like I love my sister, and we always dreamt, like since we were little kids, of sitting in the back of the car, and we'd be like, oh, what should we do after we go to the Olympics together? Like it was just like gonna happen, you know, you dream big when you're little, and you're like, oh, I can't wait till I win an Oscar. Like
My dreaming big was not quite.
Wait, what was yours then? Do you even remember what you wanted to be when you were 7? It's a long time ago. Not that long, obviously.
I think I'm doing it, but I don't really remember. I never had that. You seem like such a focused person, almost hyper-focused, but also super calm, because you seem so...
Thanks for calling me calm.
Very calm. I can, like a very calm energy.
Oh, great. Thanks. I'll take that. I don't always feel calm, but I really, like, since I was 7, I just had this thing that I really wanted to do. And it was like very clear to me that I wanted to do it, and I just started pursuing it, which is both good and bad. I like to say that I actually don't like saying good and bad. I think there's like personality traits, and every trait has a shadow, and or there can be strengths that are overdone, and there gets a point where it's like no longer a useful thing, or no longer purely a good thing. I think every trait has a shadow. Being hyper-focused can also not be a good thing. Depends who you ask. I mean, there's a reason that I didn't date anyone until I was 22, and it was because like I was like so unbelievably focused on one thing.
Really?
Yeah.
And then?
Yeah.
Are you still with your partner?
Yes.
After that? Was that your first partner?
Yeah, so the first guy that I properly was like, okay, cool, we're actually dating. We're not a situationship. We're together. Yeah, that's now my fiance. So it's maybe like once I make up my mind, I'm like pretty stuck on something. It just took me a while to make up my mind.
That's I didn't expect this conversation to go in that direction, but that's really interesting too.
I'd never thought about it like that. I'd never even thought that until just then. Wow. Yeah, I guess I just like went to the fruit shop and was like, you're a good banana, and walked out of the store. I guess that's pretty much it. Also, I didn't mean that to sound so sexual. I should have picked another fruit. You
know what they say about fruit as well at the supermarket. If you have certain fruit in your shopping basket or in your trolley, then it shows you're looking for certain things, you know.
Oh, does it?
I think in the gay world. I don't know if in the straight world as well.
What happens if you get an avocado?
I don't know. I'm very in a relationship, so I don't. It's been a long time since I've been and bought fruit at the supermarket.
What happens if you get an eggplant?
You know what happens. You know what the eggplant emoji means. I'm really excited to share something very special with you. You know, I've always been open about my personal struggles, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. And now I've put it all into my book, Mental as Anyone. It's raw, it's real, and full of the lessons I've learned, alongside some expert wisdom from Dr. Jodie Lowinger to help you navigate your own mental health journey. The book hits shelves in all good bookstores nationally on June 25, but you can pre-order it right now on Amazon. The link is in the show notes. This book means the absolute world to me. I hope it helps you too. Life after sport is a fascinating topic and one that we could do a series of podcasts on. But a lot of athletes have stumbled massively post-sport, or as they've tried to find their feet outside of the pool or out off the football field or whatever their chosen sport is. How are you so together?
I wouldn't say that I'm so together. I would say that I have days where I'm really together and days when I'm really, really not. But I've had sort of a very interesting journey in and out of sport. So in 2021, after the Tokyo Olympics finished, I took 18 months off. I thought I was done. I thought I was finished swimming. And I went and worked in corporate. I went and worked in business consulting, and I just finished my degree and I really needed to prove to myself that I could do something that wasn't the one thing. Because from when I was 7 until I was 27, I did one thing, and that was pursue swimming. And yes, I did a uni degree on the side of it. Yes, I interned in Channel 7 newsroom. Yes, I used to write some stuff for Courier Mail. But they were very much little things on the side. I needed to know that I could exist in the world as an adult that gets dressed every day, and catches the bus into work and walks into a workplace. I don't know why, but I needed to prove to myself that that could be something that I could do. And I did do that, and I really enjoyed doing it. And so when I came back into sport at the end of 2022, start of 2023, I started training again for the 2024 Olympics. And that was good because I was now choosing between two options. I was choosing between this life that I'd built that I really liked, working and with my friends and going out on Friday nights for Friday night drinks, and this other life that was swimming and moving to Canberra and getting up at 4:30 in the morning and drinking zero alcohol. And I could choose between the two of them, which is a very different choice from, do I keep doing this thing or do I stop? Because it's not really a choice between two things. It's a choice about one thing. And it's a choice between one thing that you know really well and the abyss that you don't know at all. And I think the thing outside of sport, and that is probably every single person will feel it, is there's just so much ambiguity and so much uncertainty in what do I want to do with my life? And lots of people grapple with these things, and they often grapple with them earlier in life. They might grapple with them through uni or through their early 20s. If you have a career in sport and you're lucky enough to stay in it for a long time, you're starting to grapple with these things in your mids and early 30s, which then feels you're behind the ball on it, It's everyone else has got it figured out. All the people that I went to uni with, they've all found their career. They've been working in it for 10 years. They're experts in their fields. They're now doing this. And you're I'm doing the thing that I should have done when I was 18, but I'm 15 years later than anyone. And it definitely is very unmooring to have structure and purpose taken away and then thrown in on top, what do I actually want to do? And
that hurts people. I'm sure have there's suicide, but there's also just deeply troubling mental health issues that go on, and we've seen it in athletes around the world.
Athletes everywhere, and I would say it's athletes because it's visible in athletes, but I think lots of people come to these places in their life where they change something big, and it feels very unmooring. I would say probably the only thing that's helped me through those days where I'm I'm not achieving anything. That is a very big thing in my brain. I have to achieve something every single day. It's very much what I've been used to. Every day has a purpose, and being able to tick that box early on in the day for me is very useful. I need to be able to do that to then move on with the rest of the day and just give myself a break, and just let the day unfold and get done what I get done. But I'm used to having a very, very clear purpose. So,
and if you didn't have that?
If I didn't, it's very hard. But I have to change what the purpose is. And so I did some work with a human behavioralist who was very instrumental in talking about that mind-body connection. But 3 things that I look to get every day, which I got from her, is some sort of mental stimulation, so something that's making you think, and that could be my work, that could be writing, that could be writing a marketing strategy, it could be a really great podcast that I like listening to that's thoughtful, then some sort of physical stimulation, so moving my body in some way. Once again, coming from sport, I used to think if I don't do 2 hours and I'm not completely broken by the ends, then it's not exercise. It's no, it can be a half an hour surf, move your body. And then some sort of social stimulation. So some conversation, honestly, for me, even if it is with my local barista who I love talking to, I just love having conversations with people. If I can tick those 3 things in a day and I have them ticked off every day in a journal, and I get to the end of the day, I'm like, oh shit, I didn't do anything social today. And then after like 3 or 4 days, if I'm like, wow, I really haven't done those for 3 or 4 days, that's when I start to feel like disconnected from people. But being able to put a structure around it and be like, oh look, there's evidence as to why that's happened. It's because you haven't had like
So
social
keeping structure
interaction.
in your life is really important to you.
Yes. Yes.
For an athlete, I think, post sport, because structure is so much part of what they're doing.
Yeah, structure is just, it's all I've done since I was, like, honestly, since I was 7, I had like times of where I needed to be at most times of the day. Like I used to, all through primary school, high school, I used to train 5 to 7 in the morning, school from 8 till 3, and then train 5 to 7 at night, and then go to bed, and then do that again. And that was like, that's almost every hour of every day accounted for. I'd be asleep by 8:30 every night. I finished training at 7, I'd be asleep by 8:30. Like there's just not a lot of time where you're not doing anything. And so that's like, that void is very scary to me. But I also need to get comfortable with it, because the pace that you work at when you're in training is not the pace that you can work at for your entire life. And I'm trying to build an entire life, not just a swimming life.
Do you ever regret the fact that you didn't have a normal childhood?
No, I didn't want it. I didn't want a normal childhood. Honestly, you couldn't have forced me to have a normal childhood. I was very abnormal. I don't think that would have worked. Like to the point where, like, I used to walk myself to training every day because we lived close to the pool. And my coach was like, I don't want to see you here anymore. Go home. There's no world champion 7-year-olds. Like, I want you to still be here when you're 27. So I think what he was kindly trying to say was get a life and get out of my swimming pool. But yeah, I think you couldn't have forced me to do something else. You can't. I mean, I saw it as the same way. Like, there were kids that were coming in where their parents were like dragging them in the gates, and like they didn't want to be there, and they didn't love being there, and they didn't get very much from swimming. I don't think you can really fight human nature very hard.
Very much you've built this structure in your life. You've got your business.
Yeah. Athletica is my business. So it's
doing very well.
Thank you. We're very excited. It's sustainable activewear, so addressing the problem of 42 million tons of plastic waste generated by activewear every year. So really looking to, well, we are building something from the ground up that's sustainability at its core, and sustainable from the start of the design of the products to how we manufacture them to our stock practices when we have stock, so not burning and getting rid of 30% of stock, which most people do, which is just such an unbelievable waste, to recycling at the end of product life. So sustainability is so important to me, and I think it's the way of the future as well. I think we're not going to live in a world if we don't have sustainable products. So excited to be doing something big and exciting in that space, and something with a massive scale of impact. Like, the fashion industry is the 3rd highest polluter in the world for plastic. Like, it's a massive industry, and it's not one that gets talked about a lot in the same space as those other really big polluters. So really love doing that and excited by that. But it's also, like, when you're running your own business, being able to create your own structure is a challenge in itself, because there's just like 1 million things that I could be doing every single day.
But again, you're setting yourself challenges. You've got goals. You're working towards something. And what are you working towards now?
We're actually doing a raise at the moment, so a funding round raise, a seed round raise, which is not a world that I'd entered before, but it's a very interesting world. I think only 17% of all VC funding in the last year went to mixed teams, so teams that have male and female founders. And my team's 2 females and a male. So we're sort of fighting this like battle of most funding goes to male founders, and it's a very different sort of
Screw that. Let's get some funding.
Which is, yeah, we just bring good ideas to good people, and I just lean very heavily on that and just go for it and talk to anyone about it.
So what's a gold medal for you with Athletica?
A gold medal for us
what does it look like?
Is that we completely change the way activewear is made. We set an absolutely gold standard for the industry globally, and people are forced to change. So this is not a new problem. It is not a problem that we didn't know existed before. It's just a problem that has had very slow action on. And there's a few reasons for that. One is if you're a company who does $9.6 billion in sales, you have an entrenched supply chain that is heavily reliant on synthetic fibers, and for you to pivot that entire supply chain to sustainability is going to be a very long project. And you're going to have to commit funds to doing that. You're looking at growth at all costs. We're telling you to change your model. It's going to be very different. So that's sort of one reason. The second reason is that a long time companies have been able to get by on being able to do 1 or 2 products and say, we're very sustainable because we made this one shoe out of recycled plastic. It's like, yeah, but you have 15,000 SKUs of shoes and you're doing 1 with recycled plastic. But I think the new generation of customers, they're sort of they're a bit smarter than that. They're like, cool, great that you can take ocean plastic and turn it into a shoe. That's really cool. That's excellent. What about the rest of it? And I love this next generation that does it.
Where's the rest of your store that's doing it? Because this is one item, but there's like 75 here that aren't.
And they're smart. Like they're a smart generation that care about this stuff because it's like it's their world that we're in as well.
It's not just them. I do too.
Oh, and us too. Yeah, and JMO as well. It's all. There's just a real shift in how much people care about this. So like world domination for us is like, okay, we create a shift and we prove that you can do high performance, high quality, highly stylish activewear. And by the way, it's also better for the planet because it has to tick those other boxes. Nobody really wants bamboo activewear, which we all tried like 10 years ago. And like, you can't have saggy tights. Like, it's just not.
I've already got a saggy ass.
Yeah.
So
you need some lift in there. You know what I mean? Like, so we need to make products that people actually want, but there just has to be a better way to do it.
And this is an organic way for me to mention them, but Oroton, you're a friend of the brand there as well, and they put us in touch. They've got their everyday tote that is, there are brands that are trying to do better. There are brands that are working on strategies so that because everyone is demanding this of them, which is nice to see. It
is really nice to see. And like, I don't actually mean this as like shade on all the other brands, because like when a lot of these brands started, and Oroton's a great example because they are like one of the oldest Australian brands with like an Australian family that founded them. Sustainability was not something that was even possible. It wasn't, this technology didn't even exist. The fact that like the everyday tote bag, which is it's 33 plastic bottles turned into a tote bag, like they could never have done that before. That tech didn't exist. And so it's not about like, oh, shame on all these other companies. It's just like taking small steps closer to where we need to be. And like for us as well, we're not at the gold standard of sustainability for Athletica. Like the absolute gold standard for us would be garment to garment recycling for activewear. So you take a pair of tights, you recycle it straight back into another pair of tights. That technology doesn't exist yet. Right. That would be great. That's a no waste model. That's completely circular. That doesn't exist yet. That's what we'd love to do. You're not creating harm. You're not creating any more of anything to put into the ecosystem of the planet. You're not even creating more cloth or more clothing or anything. Like that is the actual gold standard. You're not taking anything anymore. But that doesn't exist yet. So when you meet people that are taking steps forward, and when I say like, oh, there's some brands that do one item and then they say that that's enough, that's more of an attitude thing. If you see a brand that's doing one item and they're like, oh, cool, this is our first foray into this and we're experimenting and we're doing more, that's the attitude. Is you just slowly, like we talk about at Athletica, one of our core values is raise the bar. And like, as soon as we can clear that bar for sustainability, for the cut of the fabric, for whatever it is in our product, in our community, as soon as we've cleared that bar, like a high jumper, you've jumped over it, and then like, guess what? The bar goes up again, and it's centimeters. Like that's what happens in high jump. It might go up 1 centimeter, and then everyone's got to try jump over that. And once we can clear that, it just keeps on going up. And when you can't clear it and you get stuck, that's where you're like looking for new innovation, and then you find it, and the bar goes up again. Like this is how we get to where we need to go, because sustainability is such a big word, right? And it's such a big problem that. Like, I kind of used to look at the end result and be like, oh, but like, we're not doing garment to garments, therefore we're not a sustainable company. It's like, well, if you only look at the very big picture of things and the very end things, sometimes it's very overwhelming. And I found this in swimming as well. Like, if I was looking at like, okay, I want to be an Olympic champion, but I'm like 12 years old and I'm like absolutely shitting myself at a state carnival. Like, I can't even picture very clearly what Olympic champion looks like or feels like. But like, what I can do is do that race in front of me, and like, you slowly just like climb your way to the place that you want to go, like one little step at a time.
What's training for you now when you're managing the business and doing training, and like how many hours a day, a week, a month?
Oh, I'm doing such fun training at the moment. So I haven't retired yet. Lots of people think I've retired because my entire cohort retired. So most of the people that I grew up swimming with have all
when I was talking
retired.
about life after sport, I don't.
No, I knew you already knew that. But lots of people are like, oh, I thought you'd retired. But my sister retired, and some of my other the people that I grew up swimming with have recently retired. But I am doing like just cross training, like the paddling stuff and surf.